If I had a nickel for every time a divorce lawyer said, I always tell my clients after their divorce is final that they should get an estate plan, I would have a private island with all the nickels that I would have. I've done a lot of education through the Bar Association and through other venues. And what I can tell you is every time I explain that estate planning is foundational and it is appropriate pre-petition, in the middle of a divorce, or if it hasn't been taken care of course, after a divorce. And yes, I am well aware of the ATRO. Estate planning is about risk containment. It's about incapacity planning. It's about survivorship risk. Sometimes we're just creating interim documents, but sometimes we can do the actual final documents for a client. When it's handled correctly, estate planning runs parallel to the divorce process and it supports it. It doesn't interfere with the legal strategy. I recently wrote a blog on why coordinated estate planning matters during divorce. And we also have a YouTube channel, which includes a lot of videos and practical discussions designed for both divorce professionals and divorcing clients. So what is estate planning? Estate planning addresses three things. What about me? What about my stuff? And what about my children? These are the three big areas in a divorce. What about me addresses incapacity. Who is in charge if I bonk my head? For an advanced healthcare directive, especially if the client already has one, we need a new one, and maybe one that says, in no event shall my spouse be permitted anywhere near me. Or maybe it says, my spouse can only be permitted on the floor of the hospital where I am in order to comfort our children, but I don't want them coming into my room. Maybe we need to have provisions that say that the spouse is 100% precluded from receiving any information as to medical status. What about moving forward with the divorce, taxes, insurance, all the things that make up an adult life? We need to have a new power of attorney. Absolutely necessary. So that's what about me. Now let's think about what about my stuff. For a client who already has a revocable trust, you all know that you can't move assets around once the petition's been filed without consent or an order. But that doesn't mean that a new trust cannot be created. It doesn't mean that a new will cannot be created. And if we can talk before the divorce is submitted to the court, before that petition is submitted to the court, maybe there are some things we can do from an estate planning perspective that are 100% above board, will actually make things simpler as the client moves through the divorce, because divorces take years. We all know this. The final part of estate planning is what about my kids? Now, this also works in tandem with the trust. Generally, we know that a judge is going to say, well, the surviving parent is in charge. But I think we can do better than just naming a couple of names in a will. Should the worst thing happen, let's do a really long, beautiful document that says, I know that it's going to be my ex who's going to be the guardian. But just in case the worst happens, here are some other people. And here's how I feel about the way that our children should be raised, how I feel about religion, firearms, social media, education. Here is a list of the people who love me and who I love. Here is a list of close family members. And by the way, in my trust that I've created for my children, there are funds to support visiting, spending time together, going on vacations together, whatever it is that is important to the client. My name is Patricia DeFonte, and I practice estate planning with heart at my firm, DeFonte Law. We love working with divorcing clients. We have had incredible outcomes. We had a client who was afraid to switch buses, so she only ever went places along her bus line that passed in front of her home because her husband had always driven her everywhere. She doesn't have to do that. My associate taught her to use Uber. Now she goes everywhere. I have a client who was feeling very blue and very uninspired. Now she's living a Viking lifestyle. I had a client whose ex-spouse, even though there was a lot of money in play, was insisting and demanding to remain on title to the house as a point of leverage, as a point of control. She was going through a mediated divorce, so not a contentious divorce. And it wasn't until she started working with us and we said, you have the money. Just buy him out. Just walk away. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be tied to him. The scales fell from her eyes and she's free. We are here to support a divorce lawyer. We are here to support a divorcing client. We will take that CYA letter that you give your clients about estate planning and insurance and finding a financial advisor and a new CPA, and we'll execute on that. My name is Patricia DeFonte. I'm the founder of DeFonte Law, where we practice estate planning with heart. If you like this video, I have lots more videos about divorce and every other topic related to estate planning under the sun on my YouTube channel. Thank you.